Is everybody warm enough? All right. Yeah, somebody said there's t-shirts out here that say, I survived the winter of 2017. Like, really? Nobody better try wearing those up north. Martin Luther King weekend, and let us start by saying our affirmation that's up on the screen 3 times. Let's take a nice big breath and center ourselves. And let us begin. Jesus Christ is now here, raising his true consciousness. I realize that I am the image and likeness of God, the person through which divine mind flashes his perfection into expression. All right, let's say it again. Jesus Christ is now here, raising me to his super consciousness. I realize that I am the image and likeness of God, the person through which divine mind flashes its perfection into expression. All right, let's set and seal it one more time. Jesus Christ is now here, raising me to his super consciousness. I realize that I am the image and likeness of God, the person through which divine mind flashes its perfection into expression. And into that state, we give thanks, Spirit, that we are all here, that we have heat, that it is warm and sunny out, getting warmer by the hour. Everybody in prayers who are marching in the Martin Luther King parades this weekend. We pray that they're all safe and warm. And we come here to remind one another we are made in the image and likeness of God. And that Spirit permeates and penetrates everything on the earth and everything in between all the spaces in the universes. And so we come here to see if there's anything that is blocking our full realization of our higher self, our God self. So we take classes, and we enter into discussion. We can learn from the people who have been taking classes for 20, 30 years. In our minds and our hearts, we pray that all their needs are met, and we pray for the opportunity to really be self-actualized and achieve all of their dreams. And as always, we pray for all the world leaders. We pray that they are tuned into their higher selves, listening to that guidance, and making decisions for one global family, for a world that works for all. And we give thanks in the name and in the nature of Jesus the Christ. Amen.
Morning, church. Reverend Jane Silver has performed for 4 decades at hundreds of thousands of colleges, festivals, churches, clubs, and children's events throughout and Europe. She's been featured nationally on the Wisdom Channel and on New Jersey Network's award-winning television program, State of the Arts. State of the Arts. She has been the recipient of the Garden State Music Award for Outstanding Performer and has appeared in concert with folks like Arlo Guthrie, Pete Seeger, Doc Watson, Tom Paxton, Tom Chapin, and many others. Her musical life has evolved into a metaphysical musical ministry. Fairy Elaine brings magic, love, and blessings to her concerts, and we are very honored to have her here at Unity Spiritual Center today.
Good morning. Yes, I'm from New Jersey. I'm Floridian now, since 1998. So, you can sing this whole song with me, but the main part for you to sing is God and I are one, and then God and I are one. So here we go. I see you. goodness. God and I are one. The goddess and I in oneness. God and I are one. I see Holy Spirit. God and I are one. Spirit and I in oneness. God and I are one. Fearless bliss, happiness, calling from my soul. Sacredness in consciousness, these are what I hold. Om Namah Shivaya. God and I are one. Shri 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 Jaya. God and I are one. Earth my body, water my blood. God and I are one. Air my breath and fire my spirit. God and I are one. Fire, earth, water, wind, there's the peace that lives within. Heaven on earth, right here, right now. We say what and God says how. I'm gonna land right here. I see only goodness. God and I are one. The goddess and I in oneness. God and I are one. 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 And so it is.
Let's say our vision together. A world powerfully transformed through the growing movement of shared spiritual awakening. And our mission, in loving community, we nurture and inspire spiritual growth by modeling and teaching universal spiritual principles. And our values, welcoming, diverse, prayerful, transformational, abundant, and our statement of being. God is all, both invisible and visible. One presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. I am an individual expression of God. I am everyone with his perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance.
I'm also a Signs of Mind practitioner, and this is how we start a lot of our prayer. There is one life, that life is God, that life is perfect, that life is my life now. There is one life, that life is God, that life is perfect, that life is my life now as I allow. I am God's gift, and you are too. Our spirits lift into this truth as we open to receive. It is done as we believe. There is one life, that life is God, that life is perfect. She already introduced me.
She did.
How about enjoy every moment? Is there more?
It's Juanita.
Well, I'm looking at the script, and it says platform assistant introduction, and introduction musician. So, that's you. Come on, do that. I'm not in charge here, believe it or not.
Good morning. I'm filling in for Sandy Becker today. She is improving. She's getting better all the time. Welcome to Unity Spiritual Center. My name is Juanita Loomis. It's my pleasure to serve you today. Thank you for joining us. Unity Spiritual Center is our spiritual home where we know, we love, and we serve God through our prayer and our meditation, our Sunday celebrations, and all of our community. We appreciate your talents. You. Thank you very much. Now please stand and join us in our singing our joy song. The words are on the screen.
I had an adopted Jewish mom, and she would say, enjoy every moment. But I thought, well, that sounds like a lie. How can you enjoy every moment? But we all started saying it, and we say it, and we laugh. And so it's an ideal that you use for it. So here's the chorus. Enjoy every moment. Enjoy your life. When you enjoy every moment, shine your light. Enjoy every moment. Enjoy what's here. When you enjoy every moment, the truth is clear. The love of God is blessing you. The light of God protects. The power of God is watching. And God's presence redirects you. Enjoy every moment. Enjoy your life. Enjoy every moment. Shine your light. Enjoy every moment. Enjoy what's here. When you enjoy every moment, the truth is clear. Life is good and getting better, and laughing steals the day. Reach out now, one another, with loves that help you heal. Enjoy every moment. Enjoy your life. Enjoy every moment. Shine your light. Enjoy every moment. Enjoy what's here. Enjoy every moment. The truth is clear. Enjoy every moment. Enjoy your life. Enjoy every moment. Shine your light. Enjoy every moment. Shine your light.
So if this is your first time with us, welcome to Unity. We're glad you're here, and we appreciate your wearing the name tag, just like we all do, so we know who you are. We do, in this elder community, kind of forget names sometimes. So if you would like a guest packet, I did have one right here, I thought, but you know, I don't. So a guest packet is a packet that you got when you got in, and if you don't have one, get one and you go out that door there when the service is over. And Our Welcome Center volunteers will be glad to tell you anything you want to know about us. We are an upbeat, happy family. And you are never alone on the road of life. You are not alone here either. So there will be time to greet each other in just a little while after the service and enjoy all the refreshments in the same community room across the lobby. And everyone will have you're laughing at good. I have to see. Wonderful, wonderful. It doesn't quit either, does it? Okay, now it's time for our community greeting, and that means vitamin H. We're a hugging community. And if you would prefer not to hug, stick out your hand, we'll be glad to shake it. And then in just a few more minutes, you will hear some music, or you will hear me ringing the bell. That means, please be seated. Let's go.
I already hugged everybody once. I'm on my second round.
So the link is...
It's not, after this is posted, then I think it goes to our link.
And then it goes
so we have to go to YouTube to watch it. But I think...
Well, and I was able to see it through YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this is in here.
Yes. So if I go directly to YouTube...
But our web link will take you there if you tap on YouTube.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, it did on this one.
No, I had to go directly into YouTube. So that's going into YouTube through that website.
Uh-huh.
So if I go to our website, and click on it.
Oh, you don't have to see. Okay.
Video's unavailable.
All right.
Okay, I almost did another little bit of a bell ringing there, but I didn't. So now I guess it's time for our joke. Are you ready? So this is dedicated to all who are seniors, to all who know seniors, and to all who will become seniors. The irate customer called the newspaper office, loudly demanded to know where her Sunday edition was. Madam, To the newspaper employee, today is Saturday. The Sunday paper is not delivered until tomorrow, on Sunday. There was quite a long pause on the other end of the phone, followed by a ray of recognition as she was heard to mutter, "Well, that explains why no one was at church either." So now our treasurer, John Booth, will give us our financial update, and then the prayer chaplains will read the daily word and disperse the power of the month, and will bless the prayer box.
Good morning. It's going to be kind of hard to compete with the previous slide, but we'll give it a try. I'm here to give the financial update for the calendar year, and but we'll start with the Dome Fund. From January through December, you have contributed $72,034. In December, that amount was $2,579, and the source of these funds, are commitments and also cash donations. So I want to commend you for giving generously to the Dome Fund and the Building Fund. And this really wraps up our 3-year capital campaign. And so we probably will not have any more Dome or Building Fund reports as we go forward. But I do need to spend a little bit of time talking about the general operating fund status and our net income. From January through December, we are in the red, which is not good, for $8,249. When we contrast this to last calendar year, in December 16, we were in the black, $10,774. And this profit is what we use to fund things like scholarships and outreach programs. So what I'm hoping is that we can reduce that red, that $8,249, by now shifting funds from the Dome Fund to the general operating fund. Particularly since we're finished with that 3-year initial campaign. Okay, I want to. I don't want to close on a down note. I want you to be happy that we have $72,000 that was contributed last year to the Dome Fund. So I see this as a short-term problem. Thank you very much.
Good morning again. Good morning. Would all the chaplains in service today please rise now? If you would like a prayer with a prayer chaplain, all of us will be available in the sanctuary after the service. If you prefer more privacy, we have prayer rooms on either side of the platform here. We are honored to be of service. Thank you, chaplains. I will now move on to the Daily Word. The Daily Word is published by the Unity Worldwide Ministries and is available whenever the bookstore opens again. And the word for today is guidance. And it's based on the scripture, Matthew 7:8. For everyone who asks receives, and everyone who searches finds, and for everyone who knocks, the door will be opened. guidance, striving to express my spirituality while living a human experience. I sometimes find myself praying for guidance. Which path should I take? Which choice should I make? In truth, I never lack guidance. It might not always arrive as a clear and detailed message from on high. I might even find myself called upon to trust and follow my inner intuition, to have faith where doubt may reside. I express that trust by placing one foot in front of the other, moving forward with conviction that my steps are taking me precisely where I need to go. As I walk, I am guided by an inner light that would not have appeared if I simply stood still and waited. Now please join me in saying the affirmation on the screen.
I walk in faith, guided by my inner light.
The spiritual power for the month of January is faith. The corresponding color is blue, as on this tapestry here. The center of faith is located in the center of the brain. Faith is the ability to believe, intuit, and perceive. Faith is represented by Elizabeth and Peter. Please join me in saying the affirmation. Jesus Christ is now here, raising me to his consciousness of unfailing faith, and I abide in him. We'll now bless the prayer box. And I ask you all to take a deep breath and move into your heart space. And we ask the congregation of consciousness that includes us all to descend on those mentioned in the little pieces of paper in this prayer box, and let them feel the power of the healing and the joy and the guidance and the blessing that is available to us all. And let that extend to the people who put these little pieces of paper in this prayer box. And may they feel the very same thing. And let us abide in joy and happiness. And so it is. Amen.
Good morning. Good morning. That's a little overpowering for me. I'm speaking today, moment of truth, about my experience using the work. A year ago, first part of January, I made a New Year's resolution that I was going to look for joy, not stress, during the year. I was inspired by the Book of Joy, which was a 5-day chronicle of an interaction between the Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu. In their discussion with each other, they suggested that when something happens, we don't immediately react with negative responses. We wait a while before we respond. That made a lot of sense to me. The other thing was that I had been studying the work by Byron Katie, and I decided that I would try to apply what I had learned in the year of finding my joy. And it actually happened. There are many, many experiences that I could share with you today, many that worked and many that did not. But the most recent one was over the holidays. In December, I was flying to San Francisco to spend time with my family. My friend picked me up and drove me to the Orlando airport. I got there, she dropped me off, I went to the curbside check-in and realized I did not have my credit cards nor my identification. Believe it or not, they would not let me on the plane. My immediate reaction was quite negative, and then I stopped myself and said, wait a minute, aren't I supposed to be practicing my joy, not stress? So I took a couple of deep breaths, and I realized, okay, what am I going to do? So I got on the phone immediately and called my friend. She was still in the area, so she was able to come back and get me. I was able to book another later flight, and the wonderful Orlando hotel agreed to take care of my luggage until I returned. So then another trip back to the Villages, picked up my materials. A couple hours later, I was picked up again and came the second time to the airport. Very easy then to get in. As I'm standing in the security line, I realized how peaceful I was. Not always the best for me, but I realized I have been learning, I have been practicing, and I have been using the work to my own advantage. One of the highlights, or one of the basic themes that she has in her work is that if you disagree with reality, you will be wrong 100% of the time. And so, for me, I'm trying to really become comfortable and in harmony with anything that comes to me, and know that at some point I have to deal with it, and not to make judgment. So the beginning of starting this week, there will be a 7-week class on the work, and I have to tell you all that the work works.
Are you sure? This song is called Love and Light to You, and I think it goes perfectly with Nancy's talk. Life is happening in the moment, love and light to you. Know that all is as it should be. Love and light to you, and your part is love and light to you. Life is happening in the moment, love and light to you. That was your part. Know that all is as it should be. Love and light to you. Beautiful. Love and light to you. Love and light is true.
who have helped in our church this week, Jody Spires and Steve, Stormy, John Booth, Jim Hall, Fran, somebody who's, Denny. And let's see, I want to just thank all the people who work on the hospitality team. God bless you all. Nice when everybody takes a turn. And if you need a book for any of the classes that are starting this week, there's 2 classes that are starting this week. Nancy Nelson has volunteered to sell them outside in the narthex since our bookstore's closed for a while till Barb gets back. And I want to give thanks to our camerawoman back there, Donna Keaton. And our media team up there, they come in bright early. And our platform people, we'll keep on praying for Sandy Baker, and of course our ushers and greeters that Tom leads the ushers. A couple of announcements. We're having a volunteer fair next week, and it's going to be a great fair. And if you're a 3-monther, or a 4-monther, or a 5-monther, or a 6-monther, or you're in the village as 8-monthers, or you're a lifer, we need help, and we always need more help during high season. So don't think just because you're here just for a month, or 2 months, or 3 months, that there's not a spot for you. So come next week, and when you visit all the team tables, you turn in your card and you have a chance to win this big gift basket over here. And if you're coming to Unity Basics, there's a sign up outside, and we need your complete membership form. You can turn it in at one of the classes. And that is as you go to the narthex, they're on the right on the wall. So they're easy to find. And we have a Beatles concert today. So, yeah. So please plan to attend. You know, it's been a little cold, and the Beatles always put us in a good, loving mood. So we hope everybody can attend. So I have one little joke. I always forget when Juanita's here. I'm always glad, because I can't always find 2 jokes. So there's a very bright young man. He's 5 years old, and his dad's telling him that he's going to have a baby brother. So the little boy's really excited, and he says, "Is there anything I can do?" And he says, "Yeah, I'll tell you what, Johnny. If you pray every day for 2 months for a baby boy, I guarantee that God will give you one." So Johnny responds very eagerly to the challenge. He goes to his bedroom a little early every night. He prays for his baby brother. He prays for a whole month. And he gets a little skeptical. He's checking around the neighborhood. He finds out what he thought was going to happen, and it's never occurred in the history of the neighborhood. You don't just pray for 2 months and then whammo, a new baby brother shows up. So Johnny quit praying, and then after another month, Johnny's mother went to the hospital. She came back. Johnny's parents called him to the bedroom. He cautiously walked into the room, not expecting to find anything, and there was this little bundle right there, right next to his mom. His dad pulled back the blanket, and there it was. Not one baby brother, but 2. His mother had twins. Johnny's dad looked down at him and said, "Now, aren't you glad you prayed?" And Johnny hesitated a little, and he looked at his dad, and he said, "Yes, but aren't you glad I quit when I did?" All right, so we have a little media on Martin Luther King for a minute from Unity Worldwide Ministries.
Hate for hate multiplies hate. Adding deeper darkness to a night already devoid of stars. Darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
had a good song about being the light. Perfect. So Unity's theme this year is Imagine. And we know that the thoughts we hold are important, and the feelings we have about these thoughts, that is how manifestation occurs. So it's the thoughts and the feelings, and we know that if we hold them for 17 seconds at a time, we keep building on that and building on that, and that is how we manifest. So we imagine as if it were already. And isn't that what we did as kids? Because we didn't know any different. And remember how many times in the Bible, which Unity uses as a sacred book, that Jesus said you must become like little children to really enter and live in the kingdom of heaven, which is a heavenly consciousness. So if we only have God thoughts, anybody only have God thoughts this past week? Okay, but how many people had more God thoughts this past week? All right, yeah, so it's all about intentions. If we only have God thoughts and thoughts about what we want to see in the world, we can readily stay in a heavenly consciousness. Isn't that so? Yes. Okay, as we focus. So let us picture these things. Martin Luther King, great orator, maker, motivator, stellar civil rights leader, set out to accomplish 54 years ago in his I Have a Dream speech. And this is a shortened version, of course. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise and live out the true meaning of its creed, that all of us are created equal. I have a dream that one day the sons and daughters of former slaves and sons and daughters of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood and sisterhood. I have a dream that one day injustice will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that all children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by color, of their skin, or by the content, and by the content of their character. I have a dream that one day little black boys and little black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and little white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted, and the crooked places will be made straight, and the glory of God shall be revealed. He says, this is our hope. With this faith, we'll be able to transform the jangled discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood and sisterhood. I've added the sisterhood, because we need to be included, don't we? So with this faith, we'll be able to work together, pray together, struggle together, go to jail together, stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will one day be free. We'll be able to sing with new meaning, my country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty. I sing, let freedom ring. And if America is to be a great nation, this must become true. Let freedom ring. And then he says, from the hilltops of New Hampshire, let freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York. Let freedom ring from the heightened Alleghenies of Pennsylvania, the snow-capped Rockies, the slopes of California. Let freedom ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia, from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring in Mississippi from every mountainside. And when this happens, because it will, won't it? It will if we hold in consciousness the feeling and the thoughts of what we want. When this happens, when all of God's children, black and white, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, free at last. So these are the images we are still holding in our minds and the feelings we have about how that world will look, because it will look that way if we hold those images with those thoughts and with those feelings for a sustained period of 17 seconds at a time. So in honor of Martin Luther King's birthday, I wanted to take a look at Unity's statement on Unity's statement of social action position is what it's called. Whoops, I think I might have, I'm not sure how it's going to come up. Webster defines the word unity as a state of forming a complete and pleasing whole. What that means is we have the understanding we're one human family, that what we do to another, we do to ourselves. It means we're conscious of the fact of what we buy, what we use, how we consume, because it affects our whole global family. I see, so 2 times and it comes up, got it. So I never know this on Saturday night till Sunday morning. The task of forming and pleasing whole is the imperative for positive evolution and harmonious existence for us all. So we can't evolve if we're ignoring parts of the whole that are starving, homeless, or not given equal opportunity to educate oneself or to earn enough money to have all their needs met. The Unity Movement stands for and will tirelessly work for harmony. And we can all call to mind a beautiful symphony and how that sounds. And in the orchestra, everybody's talent is different. But when they're blended together in harmony, they create a beautiful symphony. And so the meaning of this harmony is it means that everybody on the planet gets to contribute their unique talent. And Unity's position is where there are divisions of opinions, beliefs, and perspective, Unity embraces curiosity, exploration, and expanded awareness of the gifts of diversity. Anybody ever pay attention to who wins the Nobel Peace Prizes? All over the world, isn't it? Yeah, all over the world. And you know, whatever country we are born in, whatever country we grow up in, that environment shapes us, and it shapes us how we think. And when we have people from different countries with different educations and different cultures and different environments that shape them, put all of that together in the whole, and we come out with a pretty well-rounded perspective and some innovative solutions to present challenges. Unity's statement of social action position continues, where there is fear of the other. Unity stands for inclusivity and peaceful acceptance of another's right to create the life of his or her choosing. And of course, embedded in that is the understanding of this precept that the person is not causing harm to one another. Where there is oppression and hatred, we stand for justice and understanding, and for extending compassion, kindness, and forgiveness to restore balance. Because you can't restore balance without forgiveness, can you? And when there is discrimination, we stand for inclusivity and equality. And if we're in unity, if we're really in unity, like if we really have our feet in unity, we pledge to be an advocate for the well-being, respect, and civil freedom of every human being. So an advocate means we're a backer, we're a promoter, we're an activist of this precept. If we're living unity principles, we see the Christ in all people and that spark of divinity in everyone, not necessarily in the behavior at the moment. One of my friends who's been working in low-income housing his whole career, he's just getting ready to retire, he says, and this is so true, he said, you know, many people just didn't get the right stuff growing up. And as we know from the history, from the people who commit egregious crimes, we know that when we look at their pasts, they were brought up in horrible conditions with people who ought not to have been parents. And then if we, as our outreach continues, if we go out to meet the people on the margins of our society and we take them in, then there's no longer people on the margins. We believe in equality, we believe everyone ought to have opportunities, and we hold to that faith that we respect everybody. Unity's statement on social action continues, any proposition or action that seeks to discriminate against individuals or classes of individuals based on prejudice, stereotypic profiles of national origin, class, creed, race, ethnicity, physical ability, or sexual orientation is in opposition to the core beliefs and values established by our founder. So anything in opposition to this does not spell unity. And it was not part of Dr. Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech. We choose unity. We're in harmony with the Divine Spirit, so we stand in unity. And we know that it's going to take all of us for shared spiritual awakening for that world to evolve into that. And what does it mean to be really awake? Nancy gave a perfect example. You know, you can go into reaction right away, or you can go, wait a minute. I have a mind, I can think, I can do this differently. Anybody else, what does it mean to be spiritually awake? Be in the moment. Yeah, be in the present moment. Yeah. You know, and human behavior is as it is. We know that we can be told one thing originally and we will stick on that even though we can be shown facts afterwards that deny what we thought in the beginning. Our human minds still want to stick to that first thought. So we have to always protect our minds and be carefully selective about how we use it, how we're discerning things, and what we agree to have to put in there. You know, a lot of people, I was listening to something this week, and you know, everybody's eating organic this and organic that and organic that. And one of the teachers said, yeah, it's great to eat clean, but clean your speech, clean your mind up, because that's the most important thing, your consciousness of what you're taking in and what you're spewing out. So the last part of this is Unity's actions, Unity's statement of social action position. It's our prayer and our decree through our actions. We let it be, and if you're a tweeter, the hashtag is #ChooseUnity. So one of the first recorded words in the Bible that we have of Jesus is when he was found in the temple by his mother, and they thought that he was lost somewhere, they couldn't find him. And he responded by saying, you know, she said, where were you? And he said, I must be about my Father's business. And that was in Luke chapter 2, verse 49. And the business that Unity is about is the teachings of Jesus. And that is narrowed down to three things: teaching, healing, and perfecting. People think loving should be in there. Loving is part of healing, because if we're completely whole, there is no need to add something else. And perfecting, we're mastering our minds here. So Unity is about carrying forth these teachings, and this month we're studying the power of faith. And everybody got one of these cards. God bless Brandon. We had him in here, and he very patiently put a little mustard seed on all these cards. And we all know this verse. We've heard this verse many times. Because of your little faith, for truly I tell you, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, see how tiny that seed is? Oh my gosh. If we have faith just that much, we can say to a mountain, move from here to there, and it will move, and nothing shall be impossible. So Jesus was saying, you know, because the people of the time and because of us, that we lack little faith and we lack trust in the God principle. He's saying if you just have like this much, little tiny faith, the size of a mustard seed, and you hold to it and you keep to that and you build on that, that it will manifest. Dr. King's dream will manifest if we just hold to that consciousness and hold to those truths and revisit that dream speech. So Unity began with the healing of Myrtle Fillmore. Her friends saw the first fruits of that and wanted to know what she was doing. And then they started, of course, Silent Unity, which now helps heal millions of people through the Silent Unity Prayer Center. And at the heart of Unity, it's the healing of our mind, body, and affairs. And it just gets down to one thing: wrong thinking, right? Yeah. So Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, co-founders of Unity, they were people of faith. And that faith is really summed up in their works and in their life. They soared beyond with their works through faith. They were teachers of faith. They were healers of faith. They were builders through faith. Many times they felt like they couldn't go on, and they just kind of kept going on with their faith. Through faith, they turned to God right in the beginning. Through faith, they healed their bodies. It's written that Charles said the other religions, a lot of the other faiths, believed that you could suffer. He didn't want to suffer. He believed that he could heal himself. Through faith, they founded Unity. Through faith, they persevered in their idea when everything seemed to be destined for failure. They still kept on with their faith. And through faith, they built a work that rings now worldwide. They never lost faith. And they went through hard times. They went through serious financial times. And they would gather the staff together. And they would say, let's pray, because, the banker's been here. He's ready to shut the joint down, and let us pray together. And one of the workers would say, well, let's pray that our money holds out. And Myrtle would always say, no, let's pray that our faith holds out. So that mustard seed is to remind us that if we just hold to the vision of what we want to create for that little great grandbaby that was up there, if we want to help create a different world than the one that we're living in right now, that if we keep holding to these principles and we keep being a part of a world that is spiritually awakened, it creates a world that works for all. And that comes through shared spiritual awakening. Namaste.
In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am, letting fear and worry fall away from me. I open my eyes and see there is only love. There is love that heals, love that sets me free. There is only love. When I lose myself, when I feel I've lost my way, when I go inside and quiet my mind, I can hear a spirit gently say, there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals,
take a couple, 3 big belly breaths. We let the chair support us, have our feet flat on the floor, relax our minds. And we don't resist the thoughts as we spend time in the quiet. We just let them pass through, and we don't think on them. So the daily word today is for guidance. And we have immediate guidance all the time. As long as we are quiet and we listen, as long as there's a channel, open spirit, and we don't have all the other channels on our electronics or our phones or television sets or people or crowds, we keep that channel open so we can listen to that still small voice that is guidance. So let us take a few moments in the quiet. And now as we gently and easily return to this time and place, we give thanks for the quieter mind, for the lower blood pressure, all benefits of just spending a couple minutes in quiet. And let us say our community prayer. We appreciate the examples we are witnessing of embracing differences of opinions as the Christ Spirit continues to awaken at deeper levels in each of us. We grow in curiosity. We agree and disagree in love as we spiritually mature, individually and collectively. We practice keeping our minds and our hearts on God. Thank you for Spirit for our transformation. Amen. And is there anybody here that's here for the very first time? All right. Well, we want to welcome you. Yeah. And we have a prayer, and we're glad you're with us. We love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the Christ in you. All right. And now it is time for us to participate in giving our energy in the form of our money for a spiritually awakened world. And I came so early today because I was worried it was going to be really cold that I ruined my schedule, so I have to get my check after. I interrupted my morning usual schedule. I want to do everything. All right. So as we take our offering in our hand, let us affirm. Divine love as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and I am grateful.
Yes. God is my source. All my needs are met. Thank you, God. God is my source. All my needs are met. Thank you, God. God is my source. All my needs are met. Thank you, God. Again. God is my source. All my needs are met. Thank you, God. All my needs are met. My needs are met. All my needs are met. All my needs are met. Thank you, God. God is my source. All my needs are met. Thank you, God. God is my source. All my needs are met. Thank you, God. All my needs are met. All my needs are met. All my needs are met. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. I am grateful.
Thank you, Elaine. Thank you for making the trip, being with us, and we look forward to the Beatles concert that follows. And so if you'll all join with me up here, we give thanks for these, the givers of the gifts that value spiritual community, that are evolving in consciousness, and that are contributing to a shared, spiritually awake world. We bless these tithes, these gifts, these offerings. We see them multiplied many times over. And we see them creating peace in the world through the name and nature of Jesus the Christ. Amen. And so let us get in our peace circle. And if you're new, you want to be able to position yourself to see the screen if you know the song.
This looks more like a date. My favorite number. You guys just about ready?